let's talk about my favorite CarPlay apps because I love CarPlay. I'm excited about it. It was a huge factor in the car that I just decided to get like last year. Because believe it or not, last year, I don't know if it's still like this right now, there was several manufacturers that still don't have Android Auto or CarPlay as part of their offering, which I found ridiculous. So absolutely, I needed CarPlay to the point where it was almost more important than all the other stuff. Because a car is a car, it's gonna be pretty decent, at least for a few years. But I had to have CarPlay, absolutely, a must. CarPlay, which is actually an extension of iOS, is so much cooler than it used to be in iOS 13 than it was in iOS 12. We got things like the dashboard view, which lets you see the map as well as now playing and gives you what direction you're actually on, your next turn and stuff, all on one screen. That's amazing. And there's other little benefits, like Siri doesn't take up the entire screen when you activated it, because before it would just black out your screen and put the Siri thing down at the bottom, and it was really annoying. You couldn't like see the map or anything anymore. Oh, and on top of that, something else I'm really excited about is you can see the cover of whatever you're listening to in the music app. That's actually something that wasn't there before. So there's all these awesome little tweaks that make it so much better. So let's talk about some of my favorite apps that I actually use with CarPlay. Probably my absolute most used app in CarPlay is something that you're gonna find boring, but it's just Apple Maps. Why do I use that? Well, for starters, I just mentioned how big of a factor CarPlay was. Well, it was a bigger factor when I was shopping for cars than you thought. So the manufacturer that I was looking at, they had a technology package of their own that would have offered their own navigation package. And I decided not to go with that and to just rely on my iPhone and the Maps program on there. Because you can load up different things. You can load up Waze as an alternative, for instance, from Google. But I knew that I was always going to have my phone with me anyways. And this is different because the car before, I did have that DVD-based navigation package, and it didn't update ever over the 7 years that I had the car or whatever. And so I thought, this is better. Unless I lose connection to the internet or something, this is going to be great. And honestly, it has been. Apple Maps is getting so much better. They have like a awesome street view coming. It's going to be a slow rollout, but it's very cool. I think it looks smoother and slicker than Google Street View. It's called Look Around, actually, not Street View. And they have a bunch of new features. That's not really what we're talking about right now. But I love it in CarPlay. I love the auto dark mode, and I love how when you park in a dark place, it's dark, or when it's night, it's dark, but when you're out in the daytime, it can be light, and you can change that setting. It's really awesome. Why do I use it instead of Waze or instead of Google Maps? I try to stick within the Apple ecosystem as much as possible. I'm slowly migrating that way. So I use Gmail for like my personal mail app, and I'm going to try to move over to iCloud. That's going to be a segment that we're going to talk about at some point in the future. So yeah, it's really just a matter of trying to stay within the Apple ecosystem, because if you're using Android, your location is getting shared a lot. My top fun app absolutely is Apple Music. There's no question about this. I love listening to music when I'm in the car, and I love just telling Siri, hey, play some new music, or play this specific playlist, or play this specific song. It loads it up, it's no problem. And especially with that new dashboard and now playing and being able to see the album art, yeah, I love it. When I'm rocking Andy Mineo in the car, it's great. But I think I actually spend more time in the car listening to podcasts than I do music, and I use Overcast for that. The reason I use Overcast, I don't love the design on iOS. In fact, I kind of hate it, but the features are solid and it just works. And I can't say that about some of my other podcast apps that I've tried that I like some of the features, but just didn't work or didn't work everywhere. So Overcast, it's a solid app. And that, if you're listening to podcasts, you need to really have a solid app. So I'm using Overcast and it works awesome in CarPlay, and that really matters. But what I love to do is go out for like a coffee run. You guys know I love Nitro coffee. So head out to Starbucks, that's the closest Nitro. And maybe if it's like a 15 or 20 minute ride, whatever it is, I put it on for certain podcasts like 2 times speed. And if there's a 30-minute podcast, I can listen to the whole thing on the coffee run. And then you throw in the caffeine and everybody talking so fast. And yeah, it's really crazy. But it's really just a matter of productivity for me. Like, otherwise, that's wasted time. If I'm going off to like pick up some packages at the P.O. box that some companies have sent me for reviewing or whatever, instead of having downtime, I can use that time to learn. And so podcasts and Overcast, I'm in there all the time. The other app that I'm in a lot is Audible, and that's for listening to audiobooks, obviously. And we're going to talk a lot more about this in just a second when we talk about is Audible worth it or not. But the thing is, it depends on the book too. But if I just need a break, maybe I've been working too hard or something, and to be able to throw on a book and just take my mind somewhere else for a little bit on that same P.O. box run or coffee run or errand run or whatever, drive to the airport, then that's really nice. And so those are probably my top used CarPlay apps.